Fabian,
Yes, sir.
what's up, my dude?
How's it going, man?
It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too. You too, virtually
I know, man.
on the internets.
It's I've gotten very good at Zoom over the past couple, I guess, months now.
Yeah.
Um, I've been teaching a lot on Zoom, and then my family does like a Sunday afternoon Zoom hang. It's been pretty
Oh,
fun.
nice. That's
Yeah,
cool, man.
yeah, it's been cute.
Yeah, I've yet to do it. It's my first time. I have been
Hell yeah.
invited, but I've been like, just I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't done it, but I should.
Yeah, totally makes sense, dude. So for Fabian, for the uninitiated, let us know a little bit about what you do.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I am a musician full time.
Hell yeah,
I play saxophone mainly, but I play drums and Latin percussion as well. And I produce, so I play bass and piano and guitar
nice.
and all the like.
Yeah,
But yeah, my main three are those three things.
mm.
But yeah, I went to CSUN with you
Hell yeah,
and graduated in 2015 and just been touring, playing, recording, doing
nice.
that stuff since. And yeah. So,
But between the touring and the recording, like which one of those is more exciting for you?
ooh, I don't know. Oh, well, I guess touring. I mean, recording in
Cool.
some settings has a lot more pressure, which I do
Yeah,
enjoy. Um, but especially being in a horn section, you can't, like, if you're tracking all at the same time with, like, people who are like people that you don't want to mess up in front of. It's
totally.
very, like, it has to be perfect. You
Yeah.
don't want to be the guy that messes up a take. So
Mm.
while touring, especially with the band I mostly go out with, which is Saint Motel,
Hmm.
this like rock band, indie rock.
Oh yeah.
They're just like, we're just jumping around, like having a great time. Like it's super 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 chill, like crazy fans. So
Fuck yeah,
it's
dude.
fun. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the rhythm of tour. Like what's a day in the life like?
Yeah. So like we did. So yeah. Um, so for us, like I guess for the horn players specifically, it's very easy because in this, I'll just keep speaking on Saint Motel because
Oh,
I just
please, yeah.
finished off a tour with them in March, but we were out for like almost 7 weeks,
Hmm. It's a long
and
time.
yeah, we did, yeah, all the U.S. We had a Europe tour planned that was
Mm.
halted,
Yeah, yeah.
of course. But we were supposed to leave for that a couple weeks ago, but we didn't. But anyway, so yeah, so for the horn players, since we're kind of like hired guns, so to speak, like the four main guys who are like the guys in the group that are in all the pictures and blah blah blah. Then there's the two horn players
Hmm.
who are can be interchangeable, I guess. But
Hmm.
I've been doing the gig for 3-4 years now, something like that.
Hell yeah.
Um, and the trumpet player's been doing it for that long, or a little bit longer than I have, like a year,
Mm.
like 4 or 5 years now.
Hmm.
So it's kind of just me and him mostly. But for us, it's very easy. Like all we have to do is basically make it to sound check, which is usually like at 2 o'clock,
Hmm.
or 3 or something, and that's maybe during the earlier days of tour, it'll be a little bit longer, maybe like an hour and a half or something, or an hour. But usually it's
Hmm.
like 45 minutes, 30 minutes, check a couple things. We, tell the monitor guy what we need,
Cool.
go through any other things that might be different in the show. And
Hmm.
then, whoops, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. It's a good picture, dude.
and, and then we got to show for the show, which is
Yeah.
like at 9. And then it's like an hour and a half, set just
Cool.
all the way through. And yeah, but other than that, man, I mean, we have all the free time in the world. We're on a tour bus. We had our own bunks, and
Fuck yeah.
so yeah, super chill. Like I always scoped out all the coffee places and
Hmm.
um, specialty coffee places and
Yeah.
cool places to eat. One of my, I'll just divert to this story.
Totally, yeah.
One of a cool story. We were in Philadelphia,
Uh-huh.
And I'm like way into food. I'm way into coffee as well, but I'm super
Yeah.
into food. Like if I wasn't a musician, I would definitely be the cooking, the culinary route, like 100%. You know.
Hell yeah.
And the trumpet player loves to cook as well, and he loves going to get great food.
Uh-huh.
So we were at our hotel, and we were gonna go do something, and he's like, "Dude, there's this place called Zahav in Philadelphia. Like, check it out. Like, it's like world renowned. Like, I just
Mm.
heard about it somewhere." I'm like, "All right." So I go and check it out, and it actually was the James Beard winner for the U.S. best restaurant in the world 3 years in a row.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it was
Whoa.
literally, I mean, right across the street from our hotel, which was
Whoa.
amazing. Yeah. So, I mean, of course, I went online, you know, and I read all the reviews, and they're like, "You're not gonna get, you know, a reservation. You know,
Mm.
don't even think about it. Like, they open up 60 days in advance, and you know, they're just sold
Damn.
out. You know, like."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Ah, crap." So, but I also was doing more research, and I was like, "Well, if you go to the bar, like if you go, there's
Yeah.
bar seating, and they offer a
Yeah.
full menu."
Yeah.
You know, you just got to get there before they open. So we
Yeah.
literally we had nothing to do, so we went and we got there an hour before they opened, and yeah, like sure enough, we got a seat. And like they gave us the tasting menu, and the guy's like, "All right, choose blah blah blah." He's like, "You can do that option, or you could give us back the menus, and we'll prepare a whole thing, the chef's tasting menu. You know, if you trust us." And I was like, "Absolutely that," you know. And
Fuck
so
yeah,
we
dude.
both did, and it was so it's Zohava is Israeli food,
Oh, nice.
and it was insane, dude. I mean, like all the pickled vegetables, the hummus we had,
Yeah.
uh, sheep. No. We had lamb heart. We had lamb
Mm.
tartare. We had like a 3 day braised lamb shank,
Mm.
with just all kinds of other crazy things, and amazing dessert. Like it was by far. I mean, that was one of the best, if not the best, meal I've ever had in my life. But it was just exciting how it all like came together. You know.
Incredible. What'd they give you to drink?
We had a couple of the like signature cocktails
Mm.
of it's my dog back there.
Oh, cutie.
uh, I know. Tonka. His name's Tonka. Uh, he
That's cute.
we had I forget what they were, but they were actually the bartender's signature drinks. And we
Mm.
actually invited the bartender to the show because we
Hell
get
yeah.
comps. So he
Yeah.
came and he like took it to his buddy's bars because he's like, you know, he was like, you know, some guy everyone knew, you know. So
Yeah.
it was kind of cool to be, you know, he took us out and everything and showed us appreciation, which is really nice. So it was great,
So
great experience.
fun. Philadelphia.
Yeah, man, Zahav.
I'll have to check it out.
Zahav, I believe.
Yeah, man, the locals only secret. There's a spot in San Diego, like this barbecue joint that like it's not nearly as intense, but it's the kind of thing where you usually have to wait in line for like an hour or two to get in,
Mm.
or you could just go straight to the bar and sit down and
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
yeah.
Like that's honestly like the best. I mean, the best way. I'd probably even count on that more than reservations, you know, because
Totally.
yeah, I mean that's crazy to be open up 60 days in advance for
Yeah, man.
reservations.
Yeah, man.
But yeah,
Have you
but
been
that's kind of how it goes.
mhm. Yeah. Have you been trying to cook anything like new and adventurous during quarantine?
Yeah, kind of lots of things.
Cool.
Well, trying. You know, I really love being spontaneous and like
Mm-hmm.
going to get not random things, but like just going to the grocery store and see what looks amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to limit all my grocery outings as much as
Sure.
possible. You know, so
Sure.
I kind of just stick to the essentials. I cook a lot. Like I cook a lot of rice and
Mm.
beans, and then I kind of just match everything with that. But one thing that I feel like came out really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I made a cauliflower and chickpea curry, like a red
Yeah.
curry. So it's like tomato based with curry powder, cumin, coriander seed, you know, garlic, and just basically, I mean, it was like a meatless curry, you know. And I
Mm-hmm.
did that over rice with like I made a tortilla like a garlic naan, you know. So
Hell
that's kind
yeah.
of cool, yeah.
Oh, you,
But I've been go ahead.
oh, you made the tortilla from scratch?
No, no. not this one. I
All
have
right.
though. I used to do that for a minute.
Yeah.
But I've been making bread too. I made
Cool.
my own loaf of bread. I just got a sourdough starter from one of my mom's friends today.
Nice.
So I'm actually after this, I'm gonna make that sourdough. It has to rise for 16 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's wild. Sounds like Animal Crossing.
Oh really? I've never played that.
It's like this video game. It just came out. Like, well, the new one just came out, so everyone's like talking about it. But
Wow.
part of the addictive functions of Animal Crossing is that you'll do something like plant a seed in the garden, and then the video game will do its thing in real world time. So you have to like come back to the video
Oh,
game in like 4 hours to like take the vegetables that grew or whatever. So it
dang,
kind of
that's awesome.
it gets you into this habit. It gets you into this habit of like picking up the game like several times during the day, basically.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know, silly video game stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's dope though. I was talking to my brother about like sourdough starters and stuff. He did his own when he was into it like a couple years ago, and he was telling me how to do it, and I just keep like not making it a priority. I should just fucking get some
Gotta do
bacteria,
it,
bro.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get some bacteria, man.
I
No, it
tried
is a
to.
little intimidating at first, when you
Yeah.
see all these videos about it, you're like, oh, it's like so many steps and like you got to come back and, you know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
luckily this one was started for me. I literally,
Hell yeah.
she had it, she gave me it in a big jar. So like
Perfect.
I'll use it and then I'll feed it, water and flour every
Yeah.
day or every other day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then it'll just keep going. So when I have enough, I'll let you. I'll throw you some starter, bro.
Fuck
And you
yeah.
could have your own.
I'm super down. I'd love that.
Yeah,
Where are you staying right now?
Baldwin Park.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that
So
where you grew up?
no, I grew up in Downey.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Teresa, right?
yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, and Otis and
Yeah.
all these peeps. But yeah, I got a house here,
Fuck yeah.
so super stoked about that. I've been here a year actually. I
Nice.
just this month. So yeah, but it's it's a really cool house, man. And I'm just super stoked. It was a big goal of mine, and
It's gorgeous.
so thank you, man. Yeah, big backyard. I
Congrats.
got a dog. My buddy went on a Cirque du Soleil tour,
Uh-huh.
and like he had no one to give his dog to.
Hmm.
So we kind of just took over the dad ship
Hmm.
uh, over here, and so now he's over here chilling. He's got a yard because before he was in his apartment.
Yeah.
So now he's got a yard to like run around and
Dude, hell yeah.
yeah, it's very cool for him. He's an amazing dog. He's a half pointer, half lab, and he's
Hmm.
got like blue eyes and yeah, he's very well trained and such. So
Hell yeah.
couldn't ask for a better dog.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, I like this quarantine especially makes me want a dog that much more. Like spending so much time here, it's like fuck, man. I wish I had like a cute little dog to play around with.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it's fun. I've never like I've always kind of had pets growing
Yeah.
up. But they were always like kind of outside, or they like did their own thing. I never had like that kind of relationship where they were just like always following you around and like either slept in the bed with you or like slept on the floor next to you or whatever. Like.
Yeah.
And this guy does like he's just always
Mm.
always there whenever like wherever you're at.
Yeah.
So I dig that.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so tell me about being a saxophone player. What
Mm.
what are the skills that someone needs to like get themselves in a position like where you're at, where you're playing saxophone in these bands, you're recording.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's like, um, it's just like being able to, like, I guess one of my things is always trying to be, like appropriate to the genre.
Cool.
As like a professional musician, I think that's your job. As like someone who does multi things. Like you're not just in one band. Like you're, or whatever. Like specifically what I do, I play with all kinds of bands and genres, like Latin settings, salsa things and Latin
Yeah.
jazz or, Persian and or rock or blues and funk, or whatever,
Mm.
like smooth jazz, like it could be anything, and so like I think it's just always being uh like always knowing the genre, always knowing the like vocab to like put in those certain settings, like you can't be
Mm.
doing all these crazy jazz licks obviously like in a smooth jazz thing or like in a blues band, like it just wouldn't
Mm.
work. Like you got to like be appropriate but
Yeah.
still like do your own thing and have your own sound and your own vocab. But I think that's one of like the fundamental things that like has worked for me is like, or someone always people always comment is like, man, dude, like you just like always fit in like just right, like it's
Fuck yeah.
it's never like way too much and it's never like too little. It's just like it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always my goal, is just to be transparent in each genre.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, I mean, it's just like the basics, which is like or not basics, but just like dressing well, having things that are fitted and that are modern looking, and maybe having like like a definitive haircut or a hairstyle or something that kind of may set you apart from somebody else, or or going for a certain look, or and then being on time, being respectful, helping out, having a good attitude, being
Cool,
easy to
man.
work with, like all those things are kind of, I mean, very important, like
Yeah.
as an employer, you want to have someone who's like, checks off all those boxes, I think,
Hell yeah. Yeah, dude. I totally agree. That's dope. Maybe I gotta spruce up my wardrobe, man.
I can help you, man.
I know, yeah. Once all this quarantine stuff gets done with, you and me will go out and get me a makeover.
There you go. But I mean, it's
That'd
like,
be dope.
it's not even like, I mean, everybody has their own style, which is great,
Totally. Totally.
and it's like, it doesn't have to be a certain thing. It's just like, like, for example, like I
Hmm.
do a lot of wedding gigs when I'm
Cool.
here, corporate band gigs, whatever. And like suits, right? So
Yeah.
like getting a suit that like fits you correctly, or spending like the extra $40 or something to get the pants the right length, and to
Yeah.
get a jacket that the sleeves aren't down to your mid finger, like
Yeah.
you want to get everything cut, tailored, and fitting nice,
Yeah.
to the best that you can.
Yeah.
Again, everyone's got their own style, but like you just want to look sharp and like tailored
Yeah.
and put together, So I
Yeah.
think that's important, not having like the collar all, the tie off to the side, whatever.
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
just the little details that you'd be like, oh wow, yeah, I don't need to worry about you or say anything. Like you got it,
Mhm.
you got it all worked out. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. What about like with touring specifically? Like are there certain strengths for like to make you a successful touring musician? Like in my mind I'm thinking, cuz I've never been on like a 7-week tour like what you're talking about. In my mind I'm thinking, like someone who goes with the flow, someone who like shows up on time like you were saying. But like anything else that you've found to be really helpful on the road?
I mean, that's really it. I
Cool.
mean, being easy to work with is really chill. I mean, it's like the best thing, because
Yeah.
things happen all the time. Like
Mm.
you may like, we had a lot of radio shows this tour rather than like the first tour I did with them, and like the first tour I did with them, we had none. So, but like there were several days where we had to get up like, it's not even early, but for people who stay up till 5 in the morning or 6,
Yeah.
it's like getting up, for a 10 a.m. call time,
Mm.
to be somewhere about 10:30, and then they're like, "Hey, good morning," blah blah blah, and you're like, "Dude, like, you need to like take it down, like, because it's like radio personality, and they're just like, so amped, right, early in the morning, and then, sometimes you're just not there, in that headspace, but and those and curveballs will always come at you, like, there was one town we had to stop in where there was nothing. I mean, literally, we were in like, what was it? I think it was called Beach, North Dakota.
Uh-huh.
We were there on a Sunday afternoon. We got there, and there was one gas station open for food. That was the only thing that was open for food. And
Wow.
like luckily they had like a little like sandwich set up in there, like a Subway,
Yeah.
like make your own sandwich, which was kind of weird to
Yeah.
begin with. Because
Totally.
like you're literally like making your own sandwich. He's like, don't forget your gloves. Don't forget your like okay, like making your own sandwich in like a gas
Weird.
station, and
Yeah.
like the tour manager had like everybody was starving. Like only like maybe 3 people went to that, like
Yeah.
me and the guitar player and the one of the techs and the trumpet player, 4 people,
Yeah.
and but like there was a crew of 12 of us, and so like the other people like they had like they just didn't know about it, or we were trying to text them, but the tour manager ended up talking to the manager of the hotel, and the hotel had a friend in another city 50 miles away who asked him, he asked the friend to bring pizzas.
Whoa.
Yeah, so so he paid the guy a bunch of money to like bring these pizzas from another town so that the whole tour crew could eat,
Oh my God.
But like that was like at 6 or 7, and like so
That's
you
crazy.
literally just kind of went the whole day like
Yeah.
without eating, or like eating like chips or something.
Was there a show at that spot?
No, we were between like Chicago. We had like 2 days off or something. It was a huge gap.
That's
So
wild.
and the driver could only drive 8 hours. So that was like where we had to stop.
Oh, it's like
You know.
Union or something?
Yeah, I think it's like a thing with his sleep, or I'm not sure. Like, yeah, I guess Union or whatever his guidelines are that his company,
Yeah.
the company, for safety,
Yeah.
So we were like between Chicago or like Minnesota, or I'm not sure, like one of those Midwestern places to
Yeah,
Seattle.
not California. Somewhere else.
And yeah, it was just wild, but yeah, being easy to work with, and then just like not
Cool.
going crazy. Going back to your original question,
Yeah.
not going crazy on anything, like kind of knowing your limit as far as like partying and alcohol or whatever your thing is,
Yeah.
just like not getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Because that can get really, bothersome real quick if somebody is like just constantly like, whoa, dude, like, we'll take it down.
Yeah, man. Dude, I hear you. I hear you 100%. It seems like it all kind of comes down to just like be cool, be easy to work with. It's dope.
Yeah.
It's super dope. Yeah, man. Tell me about your quarantine experience. How have you been spending your days?
And just honestly, like doing a lot of projects around the house.
Cool. That's dope.
So my girlfriend's back. She actually
Cool.
for this past year, she is teaching music and art at a school in Wyoming.
Whoa.
Yeah. So she came back we were supposed to go to Thailand during spring break, which is right when I got back from the tour. But then that's when all this started happening.
Yeah.
So she's actually stayed here since March 12th. She got here, and she's been here ever since. And just recently, like the last 3 weeks, I'd say, 3 weeks, she's been teaching from Zoom. Her kids. But it's cool, like she's able to do that literally from here, but she's supposed to be back there.
Yeah.
And she's like getting her normal, pay and everything. So
That's dope.
it's really a good situation for her,
Yeah, man.
and she gets to be here and everything, and we get to be together. So that's super awesome.
That's huge.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, other than that, just like cooking a lot, and then obviously like practicing. I've been picking up bass more and making, like, I've started a bunch of things. I always think about your your thing where you're like finish one project, and I was like, dang it. You can hear Eric right here just like, okay. I started so many things, but I haven't finished them,
That's
but
so
I'm working on it. Like,
hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
and I have a due date and everything, so I'm gonna
Fuck yeah, dude.
crank them out. Very soon. So
Is it like shit that you've written or?
yeah, just like Instagram videos and
Cool.
like just whatever, like
Cool.
little covers and so yeah, just been practicing like a lot of random things, like I play like a lot of percussion, so I've been getting that in more too, and
Nice.
along with sax obviously, and I haven't touched my drums too much, but
Yeah.
mainly just been practicing sax, bass, and flute.
Yeah.
and yeah, percussion, you know, and then just writing and then a lot of times, yeah, just not doing anything, you
Totally.
know.
Totally. That's
You
dope,
know,
dude.
yeah.
What kind of shit are you practicing on bass?
Um, I don't know. I wanted to do this Charlie Puth cover of the song called Boy.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. So I think like more pop bass, not like
Cool.
jazz or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I like transcribed this one solo that I really liked from this like it's a BB Winans recording, and
Cool.
the guy's doing a fretless bass solo, and it's like to me it's like the most melodic, like it's so beautiful, you know,
Yeah, man.
the his just the choices he made.
Yeah.
So I like learned that, and I learned just I've been playing along to different recordings, you know, like figuring out bass lines that I really like that are more like, you know, like notey, I guess you could say, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, just getting a feel for it. Like I would love to play bass like in a real setting, you know, soon, you know.
Fuck yeah. Do you like, is that mostly just like the sound of the bass and the instrument, or do you also see like professionally for you, like maybe some more opportunities playing bass than playing saxophone, or?
Not more than, but I could definitely see it being a thing where, you know, like maybe on a session. Like this actually happened on a session. I got called to do a flute session. This super dope producer, and he had me with this artist, and he was like, you know, I was laying down my flute stuff, and he's like kind of just barely making the beat, you know, and he's like kind of just making it as we go along. And then he looks at me and he's like, "You play keys, Fabe?" And I was like, "Yeah, a little." He's like, "Show me." Like, well, I mean, honestly, if you're gonna tell me like that, like I'll play bass. Like I'll play bass like more than keys for
Yeah.
sure. He goes,
Yeah.
"Well, why didn't you say anything, man?" Like, come on. So like hooked up the bass, and then he's like gets me going, and then like I made a bass line with him. So like I was
Nice.
writing some of that stuff, and then you know he was vibing it out and liking it and stuff, and you know, so he was like, "Yeah, okay." I could just see him like doing the nod of like, "All right, man, I see you." You know, like
Fuck
okay,
yeah.
you know. So I just want to be able to like mostly in those settings, you know, and even with the stuff I produce, like with my like I have with Randy, you know Randy, the trombone player, Randy Garcia.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. We do a lot of producing together.
Fuck
And,
yeah.
so like a lot of times, you know, I'll lay down bass for that, and it ends up being like either we may not use the bass, but it provides like a super solid guideline for where the bass is.
Yeah.
You know, or where it should be. And I like being able to kind of represent that because I have a lot of ideas in my head, and I just want to be able to articulate them, you know, in a good way.
Hell yeah.
Proficient way.
Dude, you're also like so good at the drums, man. Like,
Thanks, man.
I remember like the first time I heard you play drums, I was really beside myself to like, because you're already so good at the saxophone that I was like, fuck, like this guy is like this good at the drums too. Did you start both of those instruments at a young age, or?
Yeah, I started. Well, drums is actually my first instrument.
Oh, cool.
I started
Hell
playing
yeah.
drums when I was like 2 or something. You know, like basically when I was born. But I started playing sax when I was 12. But it's kind of when I started playing sax. That kind of took over more, just because like I feel like I found my voice with that. You know.
Nice.
But even all during middle school and high school, like all during high school, I was in this thing called the USC. It's called the Los Angeles Youth Jazz Ensemble, and it was like the USC outreach program where, and I did it since I was like at the end of my 8th grade all the way till I graduated high school.
Cool.
And basically what it was like you went there every Sunday for like I don't know how many hours. You did like a really long rehearsal, and you got to study with the kids at USC, you know, while you were in high school. So you got lessons with them, and then occasionally you'd have like master class. Like we had like when I first joined, John DeVersa was leading the band, which was like crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, Teresa brought me in on that.
Fuck yeah.
She did it first. It's funny. The first day I joined that, I always tell the story, but Ndugu Chancellor was there.
Oh hell
just
yeah.
like legendary drummer. You know,
Yeah.
was on a lot of Michael Jackson records and
Yeah.
George Duke, all this. You know, and so he's faculty there, and he was there the first day that I was there, which was like at the end of my 8th grade. And so I go in to play drums, and like there was a chart where it was like, you know, big like forward bar intro or something. It was like, you know, and there was Phil was like, back, and then I did like there was like a 2-bar break, you know, 2-bar pause in the song, and then I like did a little fill, you know, between, and then he stops the whole band. He's like, drummer, he goes, what does it say on the page? I was like, it has a bar of rest and a bar of rest. He goes, why didn't you rest? What does it say on the page? And I'm like, it says, then why'd you play a fill? And he was like yelling at me because I like played a fill over this rest, and you know, I'll just always remember that because, like, you know, he was like, you gotta play the rest. You gotta play the rest, man. And I'm like, it's such a profound statement, you know, especially as a drummer, you know, because it's easy to just like go everywhere and do everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all throughout that band, I played drums, and then even in high school jazz band, I played drums from like the whole time except my senior year. I played saxophone. So that was the only time I got to play like saxophone and jazz ensemble. Like before college, really.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's dope, dude. Dude, drums was my first instrument too. But I didn't fucking take it to the jazz level. But yeah, I played drums for like a year, and then I found guitar, and kind of a similar thing. Like it's just never really looked back.
Yeah.
I do have a drum set though, and I like use it to like sketch out ideas, and then I send it to Elias, and then he makes them real.
There you go.
Yeah, dude.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to like be proficient, I think, at like a bunch of things, you know. Just so, because you can have. I mean, it's always good to like let people do their thing, but when you can't even like say like when it's not what you had in your head, and it's not like working, and you can't really tell them how you want it to sound.
Yeah.
It's kind of frustrating, you know. So
yeah,
it can be. I think.
I definitely think it's frustrating, dude. I recently got an upright bass.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I've been trying to get into it, and so I did this cover of the song "Wonderful World" and made it kind of like sad and spooky, and that's going to come out in a couple weeks. And I played upright on the recording for that, and it's like my first time like doing upright on anything, and it's a wild feeling to like pick up a new instrument and then like actually do it and be like, oh, like this sounds okay.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm stoked on that.
That's always how I feel like playing flute. My girlfriend's a really good flute player, so I like. It's funny because it's just like anything, you know. Like if I picked up the guitar and played a chord and you did that, yours would sound better. I promise you. Just because you know the guitar, like, you know, you just have a certain sound already, you know. And it's just the same thing on any instrument. Like it doesn't matter your setup or whatever. It's just like your approach to that instrument. It's just like she has such a nice sound when she gets on it, and I feel like I'm like I just need to keep playing. Like, okay, I'll get there one day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's so wild for like woodwinds specifically. Man, that was hard to say. Like you guys have so many instruments to learn, like with all your doubles and shit.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, I have a bass clarinet that I don't even touch, you know.
Oh, really?
But I do play clarinet. The bass clarinet, I've yet to kind of like get into that, but I should. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like Barry, tenor, alto, soprano, flute, maybe piccolo, clarinet, bass clarinet. You know, like those are like a must. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is pretty crazy.
It's wild.
Just be professional.
Yeah. Have you been playing with your girlfriend at all over this quarantine?
Yeah.
Nice.
Man. Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, and she was a jazz major as well, a jazz saxophone major as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
At her college. So,
nice.
You know, we have this. We're actually, it should be coming out soon too. This video, but we're doing we both are doing transcription, playing along to a transcription, or playing along to excuse me, a Bob Mincer recording.
Yeah.
Oh, this song is you. Wait, yeah, the song is yeah.
Uh,
And it's just piano and Bob Minster on tenor, and like
cool.
again, like it's so melodic and beautiful, like just the way he
Mm,
approaches. Like I was thinking about it, just like because my style of playing is very aggressive. I feel like
mm,
at times, and I don't, even in jazz and like it kind of anything I do, it's always like, like that. It's never like the guy who uses space and like sometimes, but I have to be in like the right headspace. But that's the thing is like I want to be, or at least be able to like draw it back, when I want to, and still play like
mm.
meaningful, beautiful things without having to be aggressive or like that all the time. So I think
Yeah.
like Bob Mincer is amazing at that. He's always
Mm.
like kind of like subdued, but he plays like such rich, harmonic and melodic things. It's so cool to study like just the things he does, and all the how he hears things and just the way he approaches it. Rather and like Stan Getz too. That's why like always in college and I always loved Stan Getz, his playing because it was just so like you're like oh just like it's so like melodic, like
Yeah.
it's no other way to put it.
Well, also with like the Latin thing too. Like, do you feel drawn a little bit more to the Latin saxophone playing?
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
definitely more rhythmic, and like I think my background as a drummer has me play that way too, which is
Yeah.
more rhythmic. I always tend to want to play with the drummer in any setting that I do. Like
Yeah.
I always find myself engaging a lot with the drummer,
Mm.
just because like it's what my ear is drawn to, and so that it's a very rhythmic style of playing that it can be, which can be, like I said, just kind of like that if you're doing a lot of like rhythmic stuff, it could be not so rich in melody, which
Yeah, man.
yeah, I'm trying to work on. So
Dude, it's tough, man. Especially, I mean, like I feel like guitar and saxophone are similar in that like it's just so easy to like play so many notes. Like with the saxophone, you just like push those buttons. With the guitar, you just like move those fingers a little bit. And it's
right,
like something like the upright bass, like it's such a physical instrument. It makes me like not really want to play so fast or like so many notes.
right.
Yeah, or even like trumpet. Like I tried to pick up trumpet a little bit a couple of years ago. Did not stick. That's a hard instrument, man.
That is a hard instrument. I will
Yeah,
I will I will agree with that for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Dude, can I ask you a little bit about your house?
Yeah,
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 man. So what? So congratulations again on getting
yeah. Thank
yourself a
you
house. That's fucking huge. But like,
for sure.
what advice, if any, would you have for like musicians specifically that are looking to like be homeowners?
Um, well, yeah, you just gotta be prepared because I mean,
Mm,
it is just a lot of everything. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of planning. Like, let's say you've like got some really cool things come. Like you've had like great success in what you do, and you're able to save an amount of money. Like, so there's a FHA, which is a Federal Housing Administration. I could be
hmm.
wrong. I don't know. But the type of thing is like a FHA loan. So it requires a lower down payment, but
Mm,
a bigger monthly payment.
mm.
It's for first time buyers. It's a first time buyer program, which is like
Yeah.
unless you're able to, save, 100 grand, which is
Mm,
20% of a $500,000 house.
yeah.
Unless you're able to save that, uh, and put that as a deposit, um, then you're going to go the first time buyer route,
Yeah.
which is a much lower, um, you know, uh, deposit, or I'm sorry, down payment.
Totally.
Um, yeah, I mean, like, it's just like anything. I mean, right now it's terrible, because of all of this, especially being a musician, like everything's canceled.
Fuck, man.
And it's like just crazy. Um, I've always tried to be really conscious of with how I use my money and
Yeah, man.
like just my finances and everything. So like that's why I always had like this goal in mind, or not I guess until maybe a few years ago, but like
Hmm.
I had some stuff saved up, and I was like, what I want to invest in. Like I wanted to like thinking like a business, like starting a business, like a food business, or
Mm.
like I don't know, like I wanted to invest in something, a studio, but then I was like, nah, I mean, like, you know, but having a space of my own was like
Yeah.
really just like, I mean, it's such a great like that to me. That's like it should be the goal because it's just like it's your land. This is my
Yeah.
land right here.
Hell yeah.
And but like my parents did help me a great deal throughout the whole thing in terms of
Cool.
like doing the paperwork because like
Mm.
so my parents co-signed
Cool.
but it is my house but
Yeah.
for like all the stuff behind because we can't prove because we have 1099s and all this and they need
Totally. Totally.
all this. There's just so much information they need. It's insane. So my
Yeah.
parents have like normal jobs,
Yeah.
so they kind of had that information provided and such. But like not only that, but like my mom specifically is just like an immense help because
Cool.
it's so much time that you're talking with realtors and meeting with them and like talking about paperwork and talking to the financing companies and like it's honestly stuff above me. Like
Mm.
she always ran everything by me, of course, because it was like my thing. But
Yeah.
a lot of the time I was like, well, what do you think? She's like,
Mm.
why this? And I'm like, all right, that sounds good, cool.
Cool.
Like I'll just because she's they've bought several houses in in their lifetime
Cool.
and moved and such, so she kind of gets it. But yeah, I mean, I guess just like I mean, having a goal in mind, even if it's like not in the ideal place for you to be or whatever, like your first house is not going to be your only house. Like once you get
Mm.
in, it's like once you get into the housing thing or owning a house or owning property, whatever it is, you know, you can always sell it. You can always like do upgrades and sell it, and that's kind of what I plan to do here is like
Hell yeah.
maybe be in it for 5 years or 6 years or 10 years or maybe,
Mm.
I mean, who knows, how long I'll stay here, but like, I'm always trying to improve things. Like I've repainted the inside, most of the inside. I got
Cool.
like a new AC unit, a heating and air unit, which is like, it didn't even have one before. So like
Mm.
all those things are, and like new electricity. So there's like little things we're always doing constantly to try to improve the value of the house,
Yeah.
but once you get in, you can always like kind of move up a little bit or like, I mean, ideally that's what you want,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's just, you're just a lot of planning and it's just, and I would just always look to someone for advice.
Mm.
I don't even think I would be the great one for advice. Cause like I said, my mom instructed me just like do this. And I was like,
Cool.
okay,
Hell yeah.
but just look to someone who's done it before a bunch to get their perspective on things, and their help, and like ask people for help and be willing to accept what they have to say, and everything because
That's
they know
dope,
better.
dude. Nice, man. Hell yeah. Yeah, congratulations, man. That's fucking
Thank you.
huge. It's a big deal.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Sure, like every time you come home and you put your key in the lock and you unlock it, you're like, this is my house.
It is pretty
dope.
crazy, man. Yeah, I still think about it. I mean, I do. The cool thing is like, not all the burden is on me. I have two people who rent rooms here.
Cool.
And luckily they're both musicians.
Cool.
And so we're kind of all just like doing our own thing. We're all conscious of when like people have to record in their rooms and like, so it's all good. Like we're all very understanding. We're all like open to communication because having people in in one house, it could be, if you don't communicate well, things could build up and then
Totally.
you kind of get frustrated with things or whatever. But yeah, I mean, so far it's been great. I mean, yeah, I love having a yard. That's like the coolest thing, and
Fuck
just
yeah.
being able to enjoy the outside. Like right now, it feels amazing. It's
Yeah.
like nice and windy, and yeah. So
It's gorgeous.
yeah, man,
It's the prettiest apocalypse we'll ever see.
dude, seriously.
How are
Hopefully
you?
we see no more.
Yeah, man. How are you doing with all the COVID stuff? Is it like, does it kind of freak you out? Are you chilling?
At times, I mean, you read all these things and you
Yeah.
kind of consume so many like horror stories,
Yeah.
that you kind of like almost project on yourself, like, oh my gosh, like anything I touch now could be, it's like, you know, I mean, it is always good to be obviously, be safe and like, man,
Totally.
just go wash your hands at extra time or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. Like, you know, but I think just trusting in yourself, uh, trusting like for me, I'm Christian, and so like
Hell yeah.
for me, like God has like been a real strength for me through this all because it's like,
Mm.
that could easily I could like I've kind of dealt lately
Mm-hmm.
with anxiety, not just from this, I don't even know from what, but just like,
Mm.
like I've had like anxiety attacks and I've never had that before
Mm.
in my life,
Mm.
and it's very easy to just get overwhelmed, like no matter how good or how bad or whatever, like it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
so just kind of having like some kind of foundation to kind of like seek some hope and to find peace. However
Cool,
you
man.
do that is I think you should always like try to tap into that daily, you
Mm.
know like whatever it is for you, meditating on whatever, praying, going outside and breathing,
Yeah.
yoga, it's
Totally.
super important during these times because it is for me and sure for a lot of people. It's just like see all this craziness. It's very easy to get overwhelmed and like freak yourself out.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, like, you know, I do the precautions.
It's
I'm
dope.
always, have the masks and, not going out as much as I have to. And like when I
Sure.
go out, just like buying 2 and 3s of everything that I have. Don't come back to the grocery store as much. And,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah. Dude, I hear you. I'm curious to hear a little bit more about your experience of the panic attacks, but also like no pressure. Like you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. What do
yeah.
you what do you think?
Yeah. No, I
Is
mean,
it
I
cool
won't
if
go
we
into super detail about it,
hmm
but
But
just
just
from the, go ahead.
oh, I was just saying like I know that everyone experiences like these kinds of things differently. And some people might struggle with like, is this a panic attack? Is this not a panic attack? So I'm
Yeah.
curious just to hear like what the experience is like for you, and maybe what are the tools that you've found that is like really helpful in those moments.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So definitely, I would say for me, like when I kind of realized that I was having one, or they kind of said it was an anxiety attack. I don't know. I guess
Hmm.
panic attack and anxiety attack are, I guess, the same thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know.
but for me, like I was experiencing just like my heart racing like a
Hmm.
thousand miles a minute. Um, and then I started like shaking like super like a lot,
Really?
and I was with my girlfriend, and I was like, babe, we have to go to the hospital. I told her that before because my heart was just like
Whoa.
pumping fast, and I started like literally like shaking,
Yeah.
and I was like, we got to call 911. Like this is,
Whoa.
because I've just never in my life felt that. Long story short, they ended up saying, we checked everything. We did chest X-ray, lung X-ray, because my family has a bad history of heart disease,
Hmm.
and just other factors, and so like, I was like, am I like having a heart attack or something? Like, is
Hmm.
this what this is right now? And it wasn't. Everything was
Hmm.
fine. Um, and so we've ruled that out. That's not what it is. It's not heart health. It's not any of that stuff. But they've, I've kind of had these situations happen twice.
Hmm.
2 attacks where I was like very scared, and I
Yeah.
went to the hospital for it.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's just, um, I don't even have much experience other than like, you just kind of, when you do feel those things,
Hmm.
anxiety, like I felt numbness in my left arm
Hmm.
and like tightness in my chest, which automatically you think heart attack,
Hmm.
which then gets you thinking like, is
Ah.
this like gonna be something, like, is this what it is now?
Hmm.
But it wasn't, and it's not like those symptoms. I guess are kind of, they align with both things, like
Mm.
anxiety and that. So
Yeah.
what I found is just like, just again, tapping into whatever gives you peace. For
Mm.
me, like taking deep breaths, going outside, you know, uh, having time to like think about your problems,
Mm.
or whatever it is that's troubling you or could possibly cause you anxiety.
Yeah.
Having a lot of time for that, and then literally go outside and like water the plants or like do
Mm.
something, take a walk, and force yourself to not think about it.
Mm.
And just like let that be your allotted time to think about it and freak out, and then go on with your day.
Mm.
Which to me kind of worked. And I don't know. You just kind of, everyone's gonna gotta find their own way to deal with it, because I do find a lot more people have those kind of feelings from time to time.
Mm.
And it's easy to get really scared in those moments. But when you understand like what it is, and you can just kind of like pull back from the situation and say, okay, I know what I'm experiencing right now.
Mm.
Let me go outside. Take some deep breaths. Okay, and then you can kind of like reset yourself.
Mm.
I think that's kind of just the key to the key to it. And like I said, the thing that helped me a lot was kind of just like worrying about whatever thing that I had on my mind, or whatever thing that I thought was bothering me
Yeah.
or worrying me, having that time to freak out about it, and then saying, okay, that's it for now. I'm going to move on.
Mm.
So.
Dope, man. That's really good advice. I'm sorry that's been happening to you, man. That
Yeah.
really sucks.
Yeah. It's pretty scary. I've never really like shared it, and I'm totally happy to, because I
Yeah.
want people to like, know that, it does happen to more people, and like if
Yeah.
they feel like that, to not freak out,
Yeah.
because it's easy to. But yeah, I mean, I lost my train of thought. But
Oh, you're good, man.
yeah.
You're
But
totally good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a wild thing, and I think you're right, man. It is cool to talk about that stuff, and just to let people know that it's out there, and that like a badass musician like yourself, who's like super fun to hang out with, like super cool guy, like shit happens, and sometimes the body does weird stuff.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, man. Totally.
Yeah, man. I I guess I'm gonna change subjects pretty hard here, maybe, but I'm curious about a little more like your love of cooking, and like
Mm,
I'm curious if you can see any parallels towards your relationship with music and your relationship with cooking.
absolutely.
Hell yeah.
I think, you know, like, it was funny. I watched Anthony Bourdain. I love Anthony
Ah,
Bourdain.
yeah,
His
man.
stuff's awesome. I really love
Yeah,
all his
man.
programs. But he was saying like once, he was like, "Yeah, food is not an art." Like, no, And I'm like thinking like that to me goes against everything you like stand for. But
Totally. Yeah.
I don't know if he was just like, I don't know. I don't know what he was saying, but to
So
me,
funny.
it totally is.
Yeah.
And you can, it's a way to express yourself, and it's a complete way to be creative,
Yeah.
because especially like in further along, like when you're at a higher level of cooking,
Mm.
or like being free in those and using different ingredients and different methods and techniques. And then there also, on the other side, there's a lot of discipline, and there's a lot of things you have to do exactly right every time,
Yeah.
just like how you would in music.
Mm.
So I do find a ton of parallels between you know uh, music and cooking, yeah, in terms of like those things, being creative.
Nice, man.
I oftentimes will just like to kind of see what's in the cupboard. Like my girlfriend
Yeah.
always like it's funny because she's like the complete opposite of me in terms of cooking. Like
Mm.
she doesn't like. I mean, yeah, she doesn't like to cook.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
she's not.
understandable.
She's she's not confident in
Mm.
cooking. Like, or like, she makes her like bare essentials, and like
Totally.
that's okay with her. And she'll have
Yeah.
the same thing over and over, and like that's great. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not hungry. Done. Like, move on.
Perfect.
But for me, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like there's so many things I can do.
Yeah.
Like there's so many possibilities to explore. Like, what if I put ginger in this, or what if I, do this way, or, put lemon on it before, or, whatever. Like there's so many different things.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny because she'll say, like I'll go to her house or her apartment in Wyoming, and I'll like make some meal, and she said, but I've had all those ingredients at the same time. How can you make, like, I've never made a dish like this before. Like, I have all the same things. Like, what, know? And it's just like, it's just finding what you have and like, like expressing it to its fullest potential,
Yeah, man.
Which is just, I think, like, music or being a human, like whatever you're good at, just bringing it out so people can enjoy it, So I think that's really cool thing to think about.
That's dope, man. That's super dope. Another thing that I think about food is so close to love. Like when you make food for someone and you're like nourishing like the thing that your body needs, like this nutrition. Like I had one of my friend's moms told me that like cooking for her family was like her favorite thing to do because it was like it was one of the main ways that she could still like love her kids, because her kids are grown and they don't want to like cuddle, or they don't want to like do like other kinds of expressions of love, or maybe they're not around all the time. But like one thing that she can always do is like she can always cook for them, and they always are like stoked on their mom's cooking. So yeah, man, I used to be pretty intimidated with food, and I've been getting a lot more adventurous. Like, I tried to make I tried to make a pizza from scratch like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I didn't have like, there's no yeast like in any of the stores. So I like got online and I looked for like some yeast substitutes, and I was like trying to like make it happen. But little did I know, like the only kind of flour that I bought at the store was brown rice flour. So I didn't use any all-purpose flour.
Oh my goodness.
So the dough ended up being like a fucking graham cracker, dude.
Right.
And like, and like, as far as graham crackers go, it was actually a pretty good graham cracker. But the pizza, but I also made like the tomato sauce from scratch. Like I got the tomatoes, like really just went all in, and the tomato sauce was like super good.
Nice.
So like that, it was like a little bit of a win. Or like last week, I got up and I made pancakes, but I didn't have any syrup. So I was like, oh, I gotta figure out some syrup. So I just like I looked online for like how to substitute syrup or whatever, didn't find anything. And then I just threw like water, milk, brown sugar, honey, and like white sugar like in a pot and like cooked it up. And I had to play with like the quantities a little bit, but I ended up getting this thing that was like, it was like pretty good. Like it wasn't syrup, but it was all right. Stuff like that,
great,
just
dude.
Like improvising and having fun.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like, that's what it's all about. It's like, I mean, again, it's like, like you said, improvising. It's like you know what each little component does. It's like you know what each note to do in a song, and you kind of like use those things to like make it happen,
Totally.
Which
man.
that's awesome, man. I think that's really cool.
Hell yeah.
Improvising in the kitchen is like the funnest thing for me.
So fun.
Yeah,
dude. So tell me a little bit about your future. So right now, you're a badass musician. You're fucking killing it. But like, where are you headed? Like, what roles do you see yourself really digging into over the next couple decades?
I really want to do something with food.
Really?
Cool. Food and music. And I want to like have those things because they really are both my passions.
Hell yeah.
So like, I mean, I don't know how that's gonna look. Opening up a restaurant, opening up my own thing, having like a pop up, or like having some crazy. I've always thought about like having a crazy special thing where like, I'm the head chef and I come up with this tasting menu for you, for like uber rich people, right? Who are like, oh yeah, I want this. So I want a private chef. So I go in their house, make them a ridiculous meal. And then I like play some saxophone for them, you know,
That's
like
dope.
as lame and cheesy as it may sound, like that little
No,
niche thing could be like just kind of like over the top and like unique, you know.
totally.
And I think offering something where it's like both things I love to do that, you know, I feel proficient at, or like that I can
Yeah.
do at a level where people will enjoy it. Like I want to be able to use both those things, and you know, to make a living off that, you know.
Yeah, man.
And I do love doing my own thing, you know. I love like as vain as it sounds, I do love being the star of the show and like,
Dude,
you
it's
know,
fucking
being
dope.
out there, you know.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
and one
Nothing
way to
wrong
do
with
that
that.
is just like doing your own thing, you know.
Yeah, man.
So I definitely, that's like one thing I really want to happen in the future is, you know, figuring out a way to combine both those things, you know.
Dude, I don't think that's a lame idea at all. Like, if I was some baller and I was looking for like a date night idea for like my girl or whatever, and I heard about this service of this guy who would come over and like make us like top-notch dinner and play some top-notch saxophone, like I would totally buy that shit.
Yeah. Or like Kanye
100%.
West had Kenny G play for Kim Kardashian, you know,
Oh, really?
like last Valentine's Day or something.
That's so funny, man. No, yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea, especially with like the way that things are maybe headed in with like you know, like not being able to meet in huge spaces. Like we don't know when gatherings are going to come back. So like having a
Yeah.
business model where it's a little more one-on-one, like that's dope,
Yeah.
dude. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Hey, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
man.
work on it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
work on
man.
it.
Dude,
But yeah.
if you'll excuse me really quick, I need to use the restroom.
Yeah, do it.
So I'm gonna do that. I'll be right back.
Okay.
And we're back from a little pee
We're
break.
back.
Pee
Yep.
break. Man,
eBay.
I can't talk
Wow.
today. Yeah, that's on the dark side of the internet. It's the dark version of eBay.
Oh, eBay.
eBay. Oh, that's gross,
Nice.
man. But yeah, speaking of Kenny G, I saw that he played you know Largo, that spot in Los Angeles?
Yes.
It's like a venue.
Hmm.
I saw that he played there recently, and I saw a clip of him playing, and I've been trying to like meet somebody who was there because I can't tell from the clip if like people were into it or not. Because he did this like really over the top thing where he entered from the back of the room and then like played a solo like coming up the aisle,
Of
and
course.
it was like very Kenny
Signature.
G.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, man. Like it would have been cool if he was like playing some cool dope shit, but it was like he was just doing his Kenny G one note thing.
He, you know, I oftentimes I'll defend him because
Please do, please do. I want to know.
like he's not a bad player. I mean, I'm sure like
Cool.
I mean, it takes even like to be as consistent as what he's doing, and like,
Uh huh.
you know, it takes a lot of skill and practice, you know.
Cool.
Um just like any instrument, like he's not just like barely passing by. Like it
Yeah.
still takes a lot of skill and practice to do the things he does.
Yeah.
Granted, they may be done in a way where, you know, they may seem or come across as cheesy, or
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, you're a sellout, but it's like, nah, like not at all. You know, like one thing to consider is maybe he loves playing that stuff, you know, and like
Sure.
he loves playing that way. So what's it to you? You know, like that's what he
Totally.
loves to do.
I
And
hear you, man.
secondly, like I always reference this one recording because honestly, Kenny G kind of in a way had me like, that's the reason I picked up saxophone, because my
Nice.
mom growing up like loved Kenny G, or
Nice.
loves Kenny. I don't know, she doesn't really anymore. She doesn't keep up with him too much,
Yeah.
but had all his albums, like, you know, and I listened to Kenny G all the time. Like I could probably sing you off of his first 8 albums. I could probably sing you or start singing along to any song, and like
Yeah.
I will like probably know it.
Yeah.
There was this one recording of him on it was a Christmas recording, and he's playing Sleigh Ride, and then it's like, you know, dum 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 dum. You know, it's like
Yeah.
you know, so it's
Yeah.
like all like ding, ding, you know, it's a, like theater kind of more like
Yeah.
sounds like Nutcracker Suite or something.
Yeah.
But then they go into this like jazz like straight ahead section where it's like rhythm changes,
Uh-huh.
kind of, and like he like slays it, like
Really?
playing some cool stuff. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like I could still sing the solo right now, but I probably won't. But he's like, you should check it out. It's Sleigh Ride.
Sleigh
I'll
Ride.
send you the link after,
Kenny
just
G.
so you can hear it.
I'll play it. I'll play it at the end of the podcast.
All right, there you go. Yeah, and go to the little jazz breakdown.
Nice.
And you know, like he's obviously like spent a lot of time listening to the greats, you know, of jazz, and like transcribing them and like doing all that stuff, you know.
Cool.
And so just in that sense, you know, and he's found a way to really capitalize on what he's doing, you know.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is bad at all. Like I think it's great. You know, it's kind of what we all want is to live off our music, and or you know, or at least have it, you know, make stuff that we want, and be able to, you know, live comfortably. That's kind of I mean, most people that's their goal. Some people may not be. That's definitely my goal for me.
Totally.
So I mean, I think it's like, hey man, he found a way to do it, like, and it took off. Like, you know, that's awesome. You know.
That's dope, man. I mean, he definitely has more money than I do. He definitely has more fans than I do. So, you know, like I cannot argue with
Slightly
that.
cooler
So.
hair, man. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
Know,
That's true. 100%. Comes back to that signature look, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. Maybe the one thing that's difficult to defend is his whole Giant Steps one note solo. Have you heard that?
Oh no.
Have you not heard that?
No.
There's a couple videos on YouTube devoted to it, but basically the scenario is he's playing whatever venue he's playing with this huge crowd, and the band goes into like a really fast Giant Steps, and he plays this one like circular breathing sustained note over the whole thing, over like 4 choruses of Giant Steps. And the whole crowd is going like crazy like the entire time. So there's this one really good YouTube video of like someone transcribed it, and it's just like a bunch of whole notes tied with the
the changes on
with
top.
the Giant Steps changes on top. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
Yeah.
Actually, I showed my girlfriend there's a Kenny G Michael Bolton Shreds video.
Really?
That one? Yeah. It's so hilarious. Like you have to play that one actually instead.
Hell yeah.
But that one's hilarious. Like you just look up Michael Bolton Kenny G Shreds. You see the Shreds videos, right?
Is that like overdubbed?
Yeah, so they overdub.
Where they overdub it
terrible,
bad? Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like, oh my god. Because Michael Bolton's in it as well. It's like it's even funnier. But yeah, you got to watch that. But I always think of that too. But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. Like I said, it's not easy playing in tune.
Totally.
You know, it's not easy. You know, like circular breathing, as cheesy as that is, and like whenever he messes around, he always does like like he does like jazz things.
Yeah.
They may not be like super in time or super like Ben Wendell, you know, like modern sounding, but you know.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you. No, yeah, I mean, there are definitely certain things about him that I can't help but respect. He's a successful musician, and that, you know, in and of itself is pretty significant. Yeah, man.
But if we're playing like heart and soul, I mean, you know, I would much rather, you know, Michael Brecker, Coltrane, you know, Potter. Those are like my guys, you know. Seamus Blake.
Dude. I haven't heard the name Chris Potter in so long. I've been like not keeping up too much with the jazz scene, which is my bad. But all that shit, man, it's so good.
Yeah, I know. I'm obsessed with Chris Potter. He's probably my favorite. I mean, I've gone through phases where I love everybody else, but like if I had to pick one, it would be Chris Potter.
Hell yeah, dude.
you know, just his soul through the saxophone. Like, I love that he's able to like play like the most crazy things you could possibly think of on saxophone, and then play something that's so heartfelt and
Yes.
sincere at the same.
Yes.
Like that's like the
Yes.
ultimate.
100%, man.
And that's that's what I want. That's how I want to be.
Dude, all like that jazz grind. There's something really I don't know. There's something really spiritual about heading down that path. And I think of Chris Potter, and I think of the handful of times I've been in the same room as him, like watching him play, and just like how he's so incredible, just like what you're saying. Like he's such a virtuoso in the technical playing and the heartfelt playing, like, and he's like so humble and he's so cool.
Yeah.
Like you just don't find that humility in other genres of music, I think.
Yeah. I agree,
It's
man.
dope, man. It's really dope. Yeah.
One day.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. Dude, but yeah, I think the whole like one-on-one cooking thing would be the way to go, because I can't imagine. I mean, I don't know if this would get you excited, but I can't imagine cooking in a restaurant setting. Like, it sounds like so stressful. Like, my
Yeah.
favorite thing about cooking is just taking like a long time and just taking my time and like
Yeah.
chilling out with the food. Yeah. So.
I do like that, but also at the same time, just like I mentioned earlier, like how being in stressful situations, like in a recording session with someone, and like you have to get it right.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of do enjoy that stress, or that like like it's now or never. Like you got to do it right,
Yeah, man.
Which I feel like in a kitchen it's you're like that 24/7. You feel like you'd have to be,
Yeah.
especially at a high level restaurant. Like,
Yeah, man.
there's no way you can mess anything up.
Yeah. Have you ever worked at a restaurant?
No.
Dude, shit's crazy.
No, man.
I was like I wasn't waiting tables, but I was doing like the takeout counter at Islands.
Oh, okay.
So like pretty chill, but even there it was like, oh fuck, it's stressful. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Actually, my girlfriend, worked at Islands as well.
Dude, I still love Islands. Like their blue cheese dressing, so good. All the fucking
Nice.
burgers and the sweet potato fries. I think it's a top-notch establishment.
Mm.
My only qualms with Islands is that they do microwave a fair amount of things.
Ah.
And but whatever. That's how it goes.
Hey, man. Can't usually plays long notes.
It's true.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Dude, this has been so fun. Let's
yeah, man, it is.
Let's wind down a bit. How does that sound?
Yes, let's do it.
Fuck yeah. So before we end, why don't you just give us some final words of wisdom, some words to live by.
Oh man, this is hard.
You got this.
all right. It's now or never. I would just say, man, ultimately, you want to look out for your happiness and your well-being. So I think always like being a good person to other people, finding peace with whatever it is that finds you peace and hope. And just like being confident in those things and being confident in being a good person. I really think good things will happen to you, if you work hard and put in effort, and if you choose to have a happy life, no matter what situation you're in, you can do that. I think at the end of the day, that's really all it's about. It's not about what you make, what you acquire, or whatever. It's like if you're just happy, like more than not being happy, I think that's the good thing.
Hell yeah, dude.
So
that's dope. Yeah. Well, fuck yeah, dude. Well, we don't have to sign off the call just yet, but let's sign off of podcast land. Alrighty. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next time. I wanna know what
what it's like to create inside your mind. Tell me every little thing you do. Raise my empty whiskey glass to the hour that just passed, 'cause I'm glad I spent them both with you. Feel free to plug your record, tell the people how to look you up. Feel free to share with us the words of wisdom learned with sweat and blood. But before you leave, there's just one thing I've saved right for the end.